So this is probably some of the most expensive gear that I've had on my desk for some time. It's a keyboard, mouse and mousepad combo from Glorious, who were kind enough to send these through to make some content about. Let's dive in. So the big thing here that they're selling at the moment with the GMMK 3 Pro keyboard is customization, and after all, GMMK stands for Glorious Modular Mechanical Keyboard. Well, I've got one of their pre-built models sitting here. The level of customization that you can go through to get the keyboard to how you exactly want is a little overwhelming. From color design to switches to basically everything like the casing is insane. But we're not going to be talking about that much today because, well, we didn't experience building our own and we've got a pre-built one in front of us. The Glorious GMMK 3 Pro uses linear mechanical switches which are completely hot swappable. The typing experience isn't really too bad, but they are quite clacky in my opinion. Take a quick listen now. These aren't unfortunately Hall effect sensors either, so we've got basic mechanical switches here, though there is a HE version of this keyboard if you're interested in that. Just don't get banned from Counter-Strike 2. The keyboard here is a 75% layout, though you have got 65 and 100% layout if you want, and I've got a few function keys down the right hand side and a volume knob in the top right, though this can be customized in the software to do more than just volume, but more on that in a moment. The case is made from aluminium, making this keyboard extremely heavy, which is alright I suppose, though there is no feet on the bottom to angle the typing experience. It does feel pretty premium to touch though, and the keycaps are shine through double shot PBT, so they should last a decent amount of time without rubbing off. And the font is rather plain but readable, unless you're looking at the symbol keys, and they are a little harder to determine, especially with darker LED colors like blue and purple. The shine through effect isn't really the best here, even at brighter settings, though you do have some really nice side LEDs though that give this keyboard a bit of flair, and this can be customized in the software as well. You do have this magnetic badge thing on the top right hand side which offers no real purpose except to look cool, though if you are customizing your own keyboard from scratch you can design your own badge. It is, I will say, a little bit gimmicky, but if you are really into wanting to customize your keyboard to your own personality, then by all means this keyboard is for you. It's got a 1000 Hz polling rate, it uses a USB Type-C cable, so no wireless here, although there is an option for that, and it is gasket mounted for a softer typing experience, and key actuations are actually pretty smooth, and with zero bottoming out on each key, I actually quite like the typing experience here, though cannot really get over the clacky sound this pre-built keyboard makes. The Model O mouse though has won me over. I love the shape and it fits rather well in my hands. It's big, so a palm grip would suit here, although you can claw grip it as well. It claims to be lightweight too, coming in at 68 grams, though for me, coming from my older TacShark R2, I do notice the heavier feeling the Model O offers. It's got a holy design which looks cool, and a little bit of RGB skirting around the edges. It's tasteful and not too in your face. It's a right-handed mouse only, unfortunately, and uses wireless or wired connectivity using 2.4 GHz or Bluetooth 5.2 LE. It does have a maximum polling rate of 1000 Hz on both wireless and wireless connections, so no special 8000 Hz polling rates here, I'm afraid, but battery life is remarkable, coming in at around 210 hours on Bluetooth, though it does significantly drop at just over 100 hours on 2.4 GHz. It's using a Glorious BAMF 2.0 optical sensor, which is capable of 26,000 DPI, which again isn't too bad. I know I don't use my mice above 1200, and I must say inside of games it was pretty nice to use. And yes, I know I'm not playing proper esports titles like CS2 and Valorant, but for my Overwatch 2 gameplay it performed very well. The buttons use Glorious's own switches which feel nice and tactile and give a nice audible feedback, not too tough to press either, and the incremental scroll wheel is smooth but firm with selections. On the bottom you've got 4 100% PTFE G-skates, which on the Glorious mousepad they provided for us. This mouse just felt super smooth across the surface, and you can also find a small LED light which represents which DPI setting you're currently using, which is a nice touch. You have got 50G of max acceleration, though I did switch off all mouse acceleration in the software, and also a max speed of 650 IPS, which isn't really bad either. All in all, I think I'm more impressed with the Model O mouse than I am with the GMMK 3 Pro Pro keyboard so far. Software-wise, this is a bit hit and miss. Glorious uses its Core 2.1 hub to manage both the keyboard and mouse. Now, this is a good thing. I do like it when manufacturers have a single piece of software to control all of their devices within their ecosystem. Now, for the most part though, the mouse software was fine, giving me simple settings for changing my polling rate, my lift distance, my DPI sensitivities, and even LED patterns. However, on startup, I had issues with mouse connectivity. Take a look at this.
So I've just sat down this morning just to showcase what happens when I do turn on my computer. I've got a keyboard. Everything's fine there. It's working. It's being picked up. I can change my windows, etc. But unfortunately, I then have no mouse. So what I generally have to do is unplug the wireless sensor and then plug it back in. And as you can see now, the mouse cursor has reappeared, but looking at the mouse, it's on its highest DPI. So I have to just cycle that back down to get a nicer way of controlling the mouse, and then everything starts to work again. And the reason why I think this is happening is because the software is loading on startup. So as you can see, it's searching, if it focuses, it won't focus that closely. It's searching for connected devices. It's just not finding anything whatsoever. So again, shut down the software, reopen it again. If it wants to reopen, which I don't think it may want to. Oh, it has. But again, we've got loading connected devices, and then it finds the devices there. So just be warned that could be happening to you as well.
So when it came to the core software for the keyboard, it did get a little bit funky, especially when it came to changing the LED design and knowing which profile I was on. It just felt like a big mess, and something Glorious really do need to fix considering the price point of this keyboard, especially when you start looking at the customized keyboards. It doesn't affect the overall use of the keyboard, so don't come at me about that. I'm just merely stating that this keyboard being nearly £300 retail, and you can't simply save your lighting or profile, simply it's just a massive oversight in my eyes. Just check this out.
So let me jump into the Glorious core software, and you can see that you can choose the Model O mouse and the keyboard here. So at the moment, my keyboard is set on profile 1, and as you can see where I am pointing, the switch on the back of the keyboard is also set to profile 1 as well. So profile 1, I have selected this nice blue, tealy, solid color, and if I go into lighting, preset effects, you can see that layer 1 up here is set to this teal blue type color, and I can change the brightness if I want to, say to 100%. So if I then go to layer 2, it automatically goes to layer 2. It showed a different lighting effect, goes back to lighting number 1 with a brightness gone back down. So if I click save and try that again, all of a sudden it's now changed back to this rainbow glorious mode effect. And if I go into my keyboard, it has automatically selected profile 3, even though on the back, if I click it across once, it goes to profile 2, click it across again, it goes to profile 3. So it's automatically switching my profiles based on what I'm doing within the lighting menu. Won't let me change anything else. If I were to go back, see, and again, I've just clicked layer 2, as you saw, I clicked layer 2 once and it flicks back up. And now I'm back on profile 2. So it's not actually staying on any profile options. And you can see on the camera that the lighting effects on the actual keyboard aren't reflective of what's being shown on the software here. So if I was to close the software, shut down the Glorious Core software from my taskbar, and then I was to go back into Glorious Core again, once it says loading connected devices, of course, the window has been made smaller again. And this takes a little bit of time to load each device, which is a bit of a pain, but it's neither here or there. You can see now that my lighting effect on the keyboard is the solid blue color of profile 1. So if I went back into lighting again, into preset effects, and I wanted to set my layer 2, again, it won't let me. And now it thinks it's profile 2. So I'm not sure a way really around this, because it is just very, very frustrating. Firmware is up to date. Everything else is set how I would have liked it set, but it just doesn't seem to want to change the LED lighting effects unless I was to quit the entire software and go back into the software. But then again, it won't let me adjust anything else. In terms of the different layers, not that I really know what that means anyway. If I clicked layer 3 there, again, it would go back to layer 1. It would then think I'm on profile 2. But then if I was to do it again, it would go back to a different lighting mode altogether, the glorious mode, back on layer 1. And then it thinks I'm on profile 3. So, I don't know, go figure.
So yeah, why they've made it so overly complicated just to set a solid color for my LED setup is beyond me with the layers and all that. Give me one layer, give me one style, and that's it. That's all I need. That's all you will probably need as well. Now, I know there's the brag about being the most customizable keyboard ever, but sometimes it's just too much. And when the fundamentals just don't work properly, it can be really off-putting, especially as you're charging a fortune for this pre-build, not to mention the cost of the customization options on top. But for gaming, I did find myself actually really liking the GMMK 3 Pro and Model O combination. As mentioned before, the closest I do get to any kind of esports titles is a bit of Overwatch 2, and the peripherals perform really well in these instances, and I didn't feel like I was missing shots or getting caught out. Spacing on the keys is really nice, and it felt comfortable and required a little effort to actually actuate the keys, and same with the mouse as well. It glided around beautifully on the glorious mousepad and didn't miss a beat. And for me though, the price of this keyboard is just very expensive, coming in at £230 on the glorious website, and that is for this pre-built one here, without any kind of customization. Now maybe I'm getting old or tight, or I've been treated to some really cool keyboards of late that cost a third of the price tag, and for the software not to work properly, well, that makes the price tag even more off-putting in my eyes. But then again, it is cheaper than designing your own, where I have managed to spend a whopping $600, which is about £480 at the time of making this video, on a completely custom glorious GMMK 3, which I think is just completely insane for a keyboard. If your keyboard is costing as much as a high-end graphics card in this day and age, then you've got to really think about your priorities, because would you rather have a super high-end graphics card or a super expensive keyboard? I know which one I'd choose. However, the Model O mouse, loved it. It was really nice to use, albeit having the issue on PC startup, which saw me having to unplug and plug back in my wireless adapter. But hey, teething problems, we had it with the keyboard software, so why not the mouse, right? At this point, look, they're nice products, don't get me wrong, but would I pay £480 for a completely custom keyboard? Heck no. I've not got that kind of cash, unfortunately, and I don't think you can go wrong with one of these keyboards. I just think it's horrifically expensive for what it is. But for £60 for the mouse, yeah, why not? It's nice, I liked it a lot, and it looks good too.